The year is 1980. Group 5 Special Production Cars, a category introduced in 1977, has integrated into the world stage. A new line of regulations designed to match Formula One as the premier structure of sports car racing based in the heart of Europe. The more engineering-centric rules were designed to blur the borders between a production touring car and a thoroughbred racer, with the introduction of the ability to exercise a complete strip-down of a car, minus the modifications to the roof and doors, while keeping the resemblances of coachwork and mechanical attributes such as the suspension and engine manufacturing to relate back to the original car. Many unique entries would race, giving birth to spectacular quote-unquote touring cars that set records on tracks like the Nürburgring. While the main stages of sports car racing, the World Championship for Makes and the International Motorsports Association in America, also known as IMSA, were flourished with all walks of contenders, a national championship in the country of Germany had, perhaps pound for pound, managed to put on the greatest show of them all, even attracting those at the World Championship for Makes and IMSA to compete for prizes, the Dutch Rensport Meisterschaft. The Dutch Rensport Meisterschaft was, to put it simply, the highest level of touring car racing in Germany and arguably all of Europe during its lifespan from 1972 to 1985. Initially, it was birthed with the intention to adapt Group 4 sports car regulations devised in 1970, while Group 5 would mainly be a feature of the World Championship for Makes. Two classes were figured out: Division 1 for engines with a displacement of 2,000 to 5,000 cubic centimeters, or around 600 horsepower, and a Division 2 for under 2,000 cubic centimeters of displacement, or around 350 to 400 horsepower when the cars got really developed, with a single champion at the end of the season. However, eventually in 1977, the new Group 5 regulations would be adopted by the series, and it hit big. Turbocharged, custom kit-paneled, and powerful machines were built and brought en masse for both privateer and works outfits drawn to the series, and there was even a special event during the season, the Norsring Geldrennen, or Money Race as a direct translation, that would bring teams from across the Atlantic in IMSA to partake in both the Division 1 and Division 2 70-lap battle. Full house, 100,000 spectators, the usual hot heat, and 50,000 Deutschmarks on the line for the winner, around €250,000, give or take. Fast forward to 3 years later, the cars have gotten faster and the technology has gotten better, and with it, more expensive. The DRM was now producing some of the first touring cars with ground effect technologies. Zakspeed, a staple of domestic German engineering, spearheaded by master mechanic and founder Erich Zakowski, who had designed the Ford Capri Turbo specifically for the DRM back in 1978, was now equipped with a Venturi tunnel, born out of necessity to defeat the adversity of Porsche midway through the season. How this came about, we'll get to later. Group 5 was beginning to collapse and deep in a crisis, with the DRM suffering as well. Privateers, struggling to keep up with the ever-climbing price tags for the latest projects that the engineers had dreamt up, had caused Division 1 to be getting thin. George Luce, another prominent owner in the series, was responsible for facilitating the team that enabled Porsche virtuoso Rolf Stommelin to get his 1977 DRM title, who was now driving for Liqui Moly in 1980, had reduced his fleet to a single Pirelli shod car for Bob Wallach, a regular competitor in the series. Kremer, one of the top Porsche outfits managed by Erwin Kremer and his brother Manfred Kremer, was unlucky to sign driver Axel Plankenhorn as number 1, running into all sorts of issues right from round 1. Meanwhile, Liqui Moly had a difficult season with Rolf Stommelen, while the Ford Saxby team had a setback when a new design they had created for their 1980 campaign was rejected. The number of top pairings in Division 2 was small. Klaus Niedwitz was fast but a little inexperienced with the bigger Group 5 cars, coming off the back of a final 12th position in the European Touring Car Championship in 1979. Saxby's third driver, Hans Soldeck, was out of his depth at a Capri, and 1978 DRM champion Harald Ertl was, like last year 1979, very unlucky. And now for our main characters of the story. Bavarian hero Hans Hakim Stuck's evoluted BMW 320 Turbo, nicknamed the Aerohec, was fast but very fragile. There was one last big player vying for the bid to claim the DRM 1980 title, Hans Herr and the brand new Lancia Beta Monte Carlo Turbo, entered by Lancia themselves, making it a works effort. Furthermore, this was Lancia's first track racing project since Fiat had bought them out back in 1969. Before then, they mainly specialized in high-end luxury cars and rallying with the Lancia Fulvia. Lancia had tested out the Beta Monte Carlo Turbo in 1979 with the World Championship for Makes, with great results, taking the Division 2 title that year. An interesting thing to note, and a mix to this year's season, was an invitation race at Donington. The field was small, but Britain got to know the Group 5 monsters. And without further ado, on to round 1 of the championship. Winter had been uneasy, with a row since Ludwig quit the Kremer team for Ford, despite a contract with the Porsche team for 1980. The Ford offer was tempting, a Division 1 Capri, and the argument was taken to court to be settled. The wide rear spoiler of the Zaxbyt Capri fell through its scrutineering, unsurprisingly. Zaxbyt appealed and could start, but to no avail, the car would be declared illegal. In practice, the car qualified third behind Plankenhorn and Stommelen, but ahead of Wallach, who could only use long-distance Pirellis. Plankenhorn lost the start, handicapped by his new tyres since his intended ones were stolen from his trailer during the night. Stommelen took the lead with Ludwig and Plankenhorn fighting for second. Axel Plankenhorn would finish behind Bob Wallach, dropping into 4th place, but since Ludwig's car was declared illegal, he would be promoted to 3rd, while Stommelen, even though he would go on to have a difficult season, managed to get the win here in Zolder. The Rennsport Trophy, a subsection of the DRM, was entertaining again, with the championship looking to come from its own Division 2 as well. Kurt Koenig was in great form with a Group 2 BMW 320 and would build a lead, but he also had great adversary from the escorts of Jürgen Hammelmann and Dieter Seltzer. In Division 1, despite only entering the frame in round 8, was Christian Danner, future F1 driver, and his BMW M1. Entries in this division were less than exciting sometimes, especially when the BMW M1 brigade was sometimes somewhere else, since there was no Porsche to challenge them. This year in Zolder, Wolfgang Schutz, driving for Team Airpress wind deflectors in his BMW M1, came first in the Rennsport Trophy category, followed by Rolf Dieter Schreiber driving for Canacker GT Racing in his BMW M1. Hayer's brand new car, it wasn't even painted yet, was good enough for pole, while Ertl missed second practice because of a holed piston. Niedwitz was third, despite despite his clutch not operating. Hans stuck in his BMW 320 Turbo, brand new, also not painted, was fourth quickest as he had issues with the setup. Soon after the start, Hare was 2 seconds ahead of Niedwitz, while Ertl's turbo hose had fallen off, reducing the Capri to a 1.4 atmospheric car. When Hare's brakes deteriorated, Klaus Niedwitz was able to take over and win, but with a second place for Lancia, it was encouraging enough. Stuck was third, more than a minute behind. The best of the rest started with Wolfgang Baller finishing fourth, just a second ahead of Walter Brunn in the second Schnitzer car. He bought a Zack-Speed Ford Escort Turbo, now had slowly become outdated since 1978 to 1979. Team Schnitzer, who had prepared a new Aerohec 320 Turbo for Stuck, had brought a second car for Walter Brunn, another veteran of the field, who would eventually go on to build a successful team on his own. Hans Zolder had finished 2 seconds behind both of those drivers, trying to learn how to handle the Capri, while Ertl had time to think about how his season might go, down in a humbling 7th. Even though Niedwitz had won, Lancia had set the tone for the coming rounds, a promising car, well able to challenge for a title fight. However, with Schnitzer putting a decent effort to make the strongest possible version that a 320 Turbo could be manifested in, knowing Stuck's talent, the groundwork had been laid for good competition. Round 2 takes place on the fearsome Nürburgring, where the best drivers in cars will truly shine. Klaus Niedwitz was now co-leader of the championship with Rolf Stommelen, with both Axel Plankenhorn and Hare tied for second. All it takes is one mistake from any team or driver, and the true leader will emerge. Hey guys, thank you for watching. This is the first episode in what I want to call a series of short-form documentary videos of a kind of year in review of each season of the DRM, one of the greatest racing series in terms of Group 5 regulations ever, and kind of put it into context of all the raw footage I've been uploading to this channel for English viewers. I know a lot of the content has German commentary, but I want to kind of educate fans of my channel that may not be so familiar with Group 5 cars, so they can enjoy it to the level that I have through research and all these kind of different videos I've been finding and posting for you guys to watch. Let me know in the comments if you like this. I will put up a poll if you want me to continue it or not, or just go back to posting raw footage, and I'll see you in the new year. Thank you for watching.